Welcome to the Implement AI podcast, the podcast where we explore the impact of AI on your business. I'm Piers Linney, and alongside my co-host and co-founder of Implement AI, Dr. Aalok Shukla, we cover the real-world applications and impact of how AI can be practically applied to drive growth and efficiency in your organization. We cut through the jargon to focus on actionable strategies and use cases to highlight the transformational power of AI. Let's dive into today's conversation.
Imagine two types of farmer. One farmer's been plowing his fields for ages by himself and doing everything manually with his horses. And the other farmer, tractors just come about. The farmer that starts to understand how to plow with a tractor is going to progress way faster than the other farmers. Like, I'm going to wait till version 3 of the tractor. By the time of version 3 of the tractor come out, your other farmer has been plowing his field.
What I find interesting about that is if you think about what Elon Musk said, there'll be as many humanoid robots as cars in not too distant future. And that's probably the first time hundreds of people, if not thousands actually, have seen a humanoid robot. Most businesses don't fail because of lack of opportunities. They fail increasingly because they just miss them. You're leaving value and money and margin and happy customers on the table where you no longer need to. And what our digital workforces really do, if you boil it all down,
This is the pathway to go from a standard agent to almost like advanced agents and build that compelling strategic advantage. Your digital workforce will follow the same progression, but accelerated far beyond the human learning curve. Just like human employees, digital workers can improve with experience. And that comes from the experience of you working with them and seeing the results that they actually create.
if you've got a business, you've got to start working towards AI first, because they're the ones that are going to be the optimal businesses and the ones that are going to be very, very hard to compete with. It's not going to be easy. You've got to start somewhere, start small, but really do think big. And by think big, we mean AI first.
The biggest barrier is basically not the technology. The biggest barrier is the people that can implement it, essentially. And so the way I see this is that most business owners are not going to be able to learn enough because there's quite a lot you need to understand. There's going to be a profound implication, which is going to change and address your cost structure, your competitive position, your opportunities, your future ability to transact and raise capital. All of those things are there. You have to have thought about all this stuff and at least have a plan, because what you don't realize is that, just like you always say, there'll be a red dot when you always show that kind of exponential curve, because at any one point you're on an exponential curve. There will be a case that when some businesses fail and someone didn't take address of this, you were asleep at the wheel.
I wrote an article about 1,800 days to this new intelligence arriving on Earth. So if you imagine that in 5 years, you kind of knew that in 3 to 5 years, you've been forewarned that there's some super intelligence, some alien species was going to arrive on our planet, and it had technologies that we didn't fully understand, everybody would freak out.
We're sitting on so many incredible stories. What we do is we showcase incredible role models and stories, not just the shiny bits, but the lessons where things have gone wrong on our stages and our events. There's an opportunity to do that all year round and to create a real content engine.
So your capacity in your business is going to become a function of how much compute you're actually using in your business, whether it's cognitive for cognitive work or eventually the physical work in terms of robots.
You have to start thinking in capacity. How many units of productive capacity do you have based on how many phone calls, emails, support tickets, research reports? This new concept gives every business the ability and the possibility to serve more customers.
You look at all the different types of risks. There's all kinds of risks to do with cyber attacks, to do with not having enough skills, making the wrong bets, all that sort of stuff. But the risk that I ended up deciding was the biggest risk was a strategic risk of not adopting agentic AI quickly and effectively enough. So that is what I focus on. I help companies, big and small, work out how to exploit agentic AI to change their business model for competitive advantage.
It's about having measurable contributions to business outcomes, like number of support tickets completed, number of customers reactivated, number of appointments booked. The key thing here is you need to know what good looks like. Then you can say, my agent has now done 40% of the capacity of my out of hours stuff.
People tend to compare AI to Nirvana, or the almighty, right? All magic. That's fair enough, because you want it to be 100% perfect. You want to work towards that. But compare it to the alternative, which is us. And we're pretty infallible.
I didn't mention that, but Just going back to that case study, that company saved 2 million euros. They didn't have to hire 15 people. So that's a pretty good saving. They got better NPS scores than their competitors by 25% because the agents respond quicker. That's a big metric as well. They collapsed loss ratios and doubled underwriting profitability. That's a pretty big tick in the box. And finally, employee satisfaction rose because the company was doing more.
We know quite a lot, and then we engage with organizations that know their business clearly better than we do. And when you have that sort of interaction, we learn so much about how to implement this technology. So let me go through the list. First one is capacity architecture. That's a massive one. Workflow engineering, that kind of machine-human partnership. Knowledge infrastructure. Integration layers, which can be really complicated. Quality assurance, that's a big one. And then performance monitoring. Reliability engineering, cost optimization, governance frameworks, and change management. Because sometimes you've got to change the way you operate your business to implement this technology. Thank you for joining us for this episode of the Implement AI podcast. If you're interested in learning more about how we can assist you and your business in leveraging AI for growth and efficiency, visit our website at implementai.io. Don't forget to subscribe to the Implement AI podcast on Apple Podcasts, on Spotify, or wherever you listen to stay updated on future episodes. Thank you for listening, and we'll see you next time.